The Epstein files are due to be released today. What exactly will be released, we don't know. We can make some guesses on some things. One, it's going to be heavily redacted. They're going to try to sanitize Donald Trump's part in it, and it's going to be incomplete. And it will be an ongoing battle to get all of it. But there is another component to the Epstein files, and it comes into that area where things aren't always black and white. Sometimes they're gray. Sometimes there's 50 shades of gray. And an example popped up the other day. David Brooks, the well-known New York Times columnist, his photo appeared at an Epstein party. The photo doesn't show him with Epstein. It shows him drinking a glass of wine and maybe cozying up to a billionaire oligarch. But he was at the party. Now, I'm not saying David Brooks molested children, but I am saying that he was, how can we put this, Epstein adjacent. The fact that people like Brooks, who are powerful and who have a loud voice, but also seem to like to hobnob with the rich and famous, who likes to be in the in crowd. If you were in high school, he wanted to be with the cool kids. And so he bears a responsibility. Do I think he should be brought up on charges for child molesting? Probably not. But should he get his career slammed? Yeah, because the other day, David Brooks put a column out going, let's all forget about the Epstein case. Well, David, you're part of it. You may not be a main part, you may not be in the middle of it, but you're part of it. And you can't tell me that most of the people at that party didn't know that Jeffrey Epstein was already a convicted child molester, a sex trafficker. And still you went. And still you associated with him and the people around him. And while that doesn't make you guilty of the same crimes he was guilty of, it does make you complicit. It does make you part of the problem. And the same can be said for everybody else at that party. Jeffrey Epstein was a child molester. People knew that, and yet they still associated with him. A final word about Trump's rant on television the other night. Donald Trump, if he was in the nursing home and stood up in the Commons, got out of his wheelchair, and shouted at everybody for 20 minutes, a continuous string of lies, bullshit, and fantasy, the staff would help him back into his chair and up his meds. Now, unfortunately, there are no adults in the White House anymore, so no one's going to up his meds and shut him up. And so we have 3 more years of this. And the question becomes, how much do we pay attention to Donald Trump? How much space in our head do we give to him? And I think very little. Trump is in dementia. He's a narcissist. He's in decline. This sort of nonsense will continue. He's going to want to put his name on everything. He's going to want to destroy the country as much as possible. And we also have to realize that Donald Trump has absolutely no taste or class. I mean, look at the Oval Office, look at destroying the East Wing, the plaques he's put under the portraits of the presidents in the White House. Donald Trump is one tacky son of a bitch, and there's no way around that. And so he wants everything smeared with gold and the name Trump on top of it. We need to ignore him as much as possible. If the press had ignored him when he first ran for office, if they'd have given him the attention he deserved, he would never have got elected. But they played to the ratings, they played to his outrageousness, and they gave him something to talk about, and so they did that. And now they try to make it sound like what he's doing is normal. You know, well, it's just Trump being Trump. Well, that's bullshit. The guy is not sane. He's out of it. He is crude, rude, lewd, and socially unacceptable. And that's going to continue. So we should not give him space in our head. We should just acknowledge what he's doing. We should fight what he's doing, he and his minions. And that means more court cases and more lowercase rulings and people standing up to him and people talking about him and telling the truth. But we should not let him rule our minds. So, and the last thing today, and this one goes into, this was so fucking crazy I couldn't believe it. We're going to have the Patriot Games. Patriot Games are going to happen this summer, where every state sends one boy and one girl to compete in Washington, D.C. for Donald Trump's pleasure. Sound familiar? Ever watched the Hunger Games? I can't believe they're doing this. The tone-deaf crudeness of it is unbelievable. But that's the Trump administration. The best thing that will happen is that we will tolerate 3 more years. We will carry the House and maybe the Senate in the next interim election. And his power will diminish progressively until he is gone. And then, hopefully, we will blot out any memory of him ever having been president and fix the chaos that he's caused.